Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Geek Paragon. I am your host, Pax. I want to welcome you to more Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. We're going to get right into it today. Had a little bit... I can't remember what we did yesterday. Aside from, the end where we were looking for the last runes for Valaravan. Today, we're here. I feel like this is... Yeah, we're still in Valaravan's territory here. So, actually, let's check a runestone real quick. There's a runestone right up here. I can make sure I have all the runes. I also think we had a visitor, Molna, yesterday, who's a friend of mine in IRL, in Meat Space, who I think was correcting something of mine, a concept I thought... So I thought that you got these in a specific order, or I thought you got these, you could skip them, but they seem to be organized in an area, and they illuminate as you find them. Like, as you find runestones, it'll light up with the next rune in the series, not a fixed rune to the runestone. Regardless, we're going to continue to Surtr's realm today. As a warning, there is a lot of fire and whatnot here. It gets a little scary. And here we are. Alright, and that door is open. Cool, so we'll just continue on. So I went this way before. And this way leads to a runestone, which I think I have. I should already have this runestone. But we're going to find out. I'm going to make sure, you see. Yeah, okay, so that one I have. Now, I have to say, the treasure goblin in me does kind of... It does regret that this does not have more loot, that there aren't loot drops or management. Oh, I forgot about this part. Do I have to be on the bridge to trigger that? Maybe? Because I see it. Lots of... Yeah, there is lots of fire. You're making 3 cables right now. Okay. It's a trigger warning. It's mostly a trigger warning because it's very, very graphic. See, and I feel like I should come right up to it and talk. There we go. Got it.
Senua. We each walk these lands, gazing towards different horizons. Some of us further than others. Your father cannot see what you see. But there is nothing wrong with seeing the world the way you do.
Forgot about the focus. There are basically 2 ways to interact with everything. You can either interact with it physically or mystically. The darkness. What's this way? is this?
It's nearly over. Finish it. He's gone. Yes, Senua. Breathe. She's hurt. She won't make it. Watch out! Watch out! He's stronger than you. Behind you!
Phew.
I can still smell it. The sweet, sickly stench of burning human flesh. And I still hear their cries carried in the wind. Do you hear them too, Senua?
Yes, I heard their screams, and I still hear them now. Follow the screams.
Oof. Indeed. Best wishes to Gravy. Procedures are always... Yeah, okay. Okay. I don't know which one's supposed to trigger it, though. Okay. So where are the runes? The runes are most present over here. But it centers. Yeah. Okay, so... somewhere around here. Less than great, you know? Where am I supposed to stand to trigger this? Yeah. Well, how is Gravy generally? Like, is Gravy hyperactive, or doesn't seem it? Just very, very clingy. I can sort of hear it. The runes. Right. Come on. So where does it center? It centers around here. Right, okay. So why aren't any of these... Okay, sounds good, Case. By all means, thank you. Wants to play. Ah. Velcro dog calm. Yeah, exactly. Oh. See, that's problematic then, isn't it? Okay, so it's one of these. But which one? Is there something else I need to be doing? Wait a minute. Because it shows up over here as well. Okay. Okay, so it's like really intense right there. But why? Ah, come on. Okay. Like, it's... Okay, so why aren't you... triggering? Oh, because I'm not doing this. Duh. Herpin' to derpin'. I'm holding the wrong button.
The seal to the living. You already walk amongst the dead. Look towards the gate, and you will see that it has opened.
Alright. This will be fun, right?
When they first came to my lands, I knew enough of their tongue to beg for mercy, and they took me as a slave. I wish now that they had slaughtered me like the others. I rode their storm of fire, death, slavery to many lands. This darkness you speak of, I know it well.
And I'm still here to fight it.
Oof. Well, all good luck to Gravy. All the same. And that is the fire we saw earlier over from Valravan's kingdom. Valravan's realm.
Stop them! Behind you!
There we go. Scheiße!
She's injured. She needs still take him down. Take him down. Get him down.
Whew,
When you see a fire gate of Surtr, know that only a sacrifice will stoke the fires of Muspel, and let the dead walk through. Find the fire, Senua, to follow the path to Surtr.
Ooh, excuse me. Oh yeah. So,
Hell will not give you the answers you want. But you mustn't look away from the horrors it does offer. Because you cannot overcome suffering if you refuse to look at it.
What's happening? Is the fire gone? Where's it gone? The fire's disappeared. It was everywhere. It was a trick. Maybe it was a test. Surtr is through there. He's waiting for her. You can't get through. How will she get through?
She'll need to find another way.
Truth, Surt. Find your own path.
There's always another way.
The Northmen say that the defender of Muspel is called Surtr, the foremost of the fire giants.
yeah, the combat
His
in
name
this is
means
very
the Black
intense.
One, because he is like something burnt. The Northmen believe that he sits at the border of Muspel with his flaming sword, and at the end of the world he will leave his post. He will travel to Asgard and Midgard, waging war against all the gods. He will be victorious, and then burn the whole world with fire.
I do find it interesting how many apocalyptic prophecies involve fire.
She needs to find it. Another fire sacrifice.
Find the fire, Senua, to follow the path to Surtr.
Clappy, hello. Yeah, that's kind of it.
It's too far.
She'll never find it. She'll never make her way back.
She needs to remember the way back.
What happens when she finds it?
Everything will burn.
Concentrate on where you're going. She needs to remember the path.
Everything will burn. Then how will she find the way back?
She won't. She won't be able to tell.
Oh my god. At this point, you're bordering on harassment, dude. Ah.
The Northmen believe that the world will be destroyed someday. They call it Ragnarok, the destiny of the gods. Asgard will be attacked by Surtr and the fire giants. A monstrous wolf will swallow the sun, and the gods will fight in vain against their enemies. There is nothing they can do to prevent it.
Ooh, excuse me.
Odin ever seeks knowledge and magic, hoping to find a way to postpone that dark day.
Okay. So, alright. That's where I need to go. Yeah, the gate is that way. So now I need to figure out how to get up there and then back down. There's... bit of darkness there. That's not good. Okay, here we go.
The Northmen made fire sacrifices, burning slaves like me to reveal the path to Surtr. I searched for meaning in their suffering, in their eyes, but they just screamed like helpless pigs.
Okay. Alright. So there's the sacrifice, there's the gate, and there's a shortcut. I want to make sure that that's actually what I'm seeing. Okay. Yep. Okay. There's the shortcut. So this has some of the vertigo elements. Ow! Forgot about that.
Do your gods answer your prayers, Senua? I asked the gods for mercy. All of them, even theirs.
What's that?
None answered. In the end, I said
The tree and car sagas. So the guy who the contractor keeps calling me because he's like, oh, insurance, and they've said da 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 da, and I'm like, dude, just stop. You had your chance. You had a whole week where I was trying to make contact with you. I'm afraid it's too late. I'm going to talk to my insurance. Alright. Here's the gate. This one is complicated. It's very interesting. Because you got to go through the houses and do balancing and all this other stuff. And there's actually... Oh, I forgot about the runes. You got to find the runes as well. Let me do that first. Unlocking
the Northmen
doors.
of hell worship the devourers, insatiable gods of darkness. I come from Erin in Senua, where I once followed my own gods, the Tuatha De Danann.
Why did you abandon your gods?
Senua, I was a man of knowledge and a warrior. To survive, I did things. Bad things. Like you, Senua. The man I once was has died. And when that happens, even gods you worship can die with you.
So yeah, that's the tree saga. Is that lovely bit of as I said, bordering on harassment at this point. Right. Trying to remember how to trigger it. So yeah, it's going. I don't like how it's going, but that's going. Haven't heard anything about the car recently, which is good and bad, you know? I think they are trying to the They have a lot of bureaucracy to get through. But yeah, the contractor, I know he's trying to protect his own, and he's trying to keep from having to deal with things he doesn't have to. I get it. But it's like if you aren't prepared to handle the problems that are going to arise in a business, and this is kind of where Legend has been coming from the entire time. Like, dude, they're not ready. They're not prepared to be a business. They're not prepared to be, to provide the service that they're promising. Okay, that looks an awful lot like it. But I can't get it to trigger. Why not? They haven't said anything, and that leads me to believe that they're just making a decision on the best course of action. Because they need to be careful about what liability they accept and what they don't. The thing is, they're liable for it. We know that. So, no. We're not doing anything with the house. I'm working through insurance. I'm going to be cutting them today. No, it's... Sigh. Context. A tree hit the house and has since been removed. It's just a matter of now dealing with the fallout, which is mostly the contractor kind of hemming and hawing about what they want to do. They didn't want to work through insurance because, as Legend found out, they are not licensed, which probably means they're not insured, which probably means that he's liable for the damage. He's got an LLC, so I'm pretty sure he's protected from personal liability, which is good. I don't want to hurt him. Oh, hey. Hi there, how are you?
The Northmen say that at Ragnarok, the sons of Muspel will travel to battle in the ship called Naglfar.
Who doesn't?
Corpse ship. And when the sons of Muspel leave the ship and ride to battle, it will be as though the sky had split open, and Surtr will lead them. Wherever he goes, flame will erupt before him, and fires will burn behind him.
Why is it leading me this way? What the... What the devil? Oh, nice. Well, that's... Oh, okay. Thank you, Legend. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate the clarification. Alright, now where are you, Dugaz? Aha! And that opens the gate, I believe, to the next sacrifice. Ah. So, then, he's still liable for all the hui manor that happens in the execution of the business. Well... Well, but that's still... It still protects his personal property, doesn't it? It's the business's property that is liable. Like, he becomes an investor and his personal property is protected, but the property of the business is still invested in the liability. Does that sound correct? Alright, hopefully I'm ready for this. Which is where the licensure and other insurance comes in. Whoa. Oh, forgot about this part. So easy to overbalance on those parts. Jesus. Hooah.
Good. Let it collapse, and have the courage to shed your tears.
Raise your world to a crime!
My world is dead.
Only then, as with a newborn, will you see the world anew.
No, I see nothing now.
That's the point. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a hidden leveling up system that occurs as you pass through different combats and whatnot, that you gain more health. It's just that you don't... There we go. You don't see the number, per se. Alright, and there's definitely a runestone round here. Alright, I gotta take a quick break, get a little bit more water. I will be right back. Alright. Oh, I'll get it later. So yeah, that's the tree saga. The car saga is a little bit more complicated just because they need to figure out what they are doing. And that's just business. Cool.
Tell me truth. How did you escape your darkness?
Senua, once I found my purpose, I was no longer enslaved to the suffering I had to endure to reach it. Unclouded by fear, I could see it clearly in others. Even my captors feared the fire of Surtr. And so, during one raid, I took my chance and ran, knowing that they would not follow. The fool ran into the fire. They left me for dead. Maybe they were right to. But here I am. Free.
I'm glad I found you in the wilds. I wouldn't have made it without you.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, that is it. So I'm going to wax philosophical about business ethics for a moment, and I am sure Legend will have something to say about it. For the simple matter that... Come on, you. Why aren't you working? Yep. Yep. Which, you know, things with stuff... I have opinions on that as well. But in terms of business ethics, we're encouraged in our current society. Actually, it's if it's your property and you want to do a controlled burn, just talk to the local fire department. See what they can do for you. They should have something, or natural resources. Either way, there should be... Okay, interesting. Half listening. Okay. Again, your opinion is welcome. As you know, you are educated more on the business side of it than I am, but in terms of the ethical side, I have opinions. So we are encouraged to take risks. That's venture capitalism. Venture, you are investing in a venture. But the big problem is you have to be able to accept the risk monetarily, right? And that's where it gets a lot of people. Okay, but wait. Bugger all. Oh, wait. What are you? Because... Okay, there's that one. Trying to remember. Wasn't it's not intensifying the way it was before, which I don't like. Alright, let's see here. Because that's that. I feel like that's involved somehow, and I can't remember how. So yeah, in terms of business ethics, we're encouraged to risk, but not everybody can take the risks necessary to actually succeed, right? There's a great post going around that makes the comparison of a carnival, and I really like that. And what it says is the middle class kids the upper class get as many throws as they want at a dartboard, and they will praise the meritocracy when they finally get a hit. But they get as many throws as they like because they have the resources to do so. Middle class may get a few throws, and it's enough to make them believe in the system. And the poor are working the carnival. And I really like that. I think that's an elegant way of explaining it. Okay, but where... So the runes aren't showing up the way they're supposed to. Because they're... The runes... Where are they? Where are the runes? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And natural resources, your local Department of Natural Resources and your local firehouse can help with different aspects of that. So, I wish you all the luck, though. Nahaha! Nahaha! Well, now. Is it intensifying out this way, or is it weakening? Seems to be weakening. So it should be somewhere in here then. There we go. I love how it makes you observe your environment. So good. Well, it's... Because ultimately, and this goes into another analysis that I agree with, there aren't really three classes, there are two. There are owners and there are workers, and that's it. Because really, if you're in any kind of management position where what you do is coordinate, not just move numbers around, you actually coordinate production, you're a worker. You're not actually management. So you have the people who own and the people who work. And even then, if what you do is move numbers around, but you do so to make more for someone else, you are not an owner. You're not an owner unless all you're doing is investing. And that's why investment is such a...
Is the bridge that goes from the world of men to the world of
investment is such an attractive thing in our system. Because it holds the least liability, as we see with the LLC model. Investment has no liability. And we see it in things like the Enron scandal. Investors were not liable for the Enron scandal.
Senua, I have seen the fire of Surtr spread far and wide, and to our lands. Ragnarok is coming.
So investors are completely protected, and they're protected because they have the money. Do I have to go outside? Oh yeah, I have to go outside for this. But isn't there a bridge there? There's a crossing. Oh, that's the crossing. Okay. Got it. So yeah, it's... this is another thing I love about this game, how much preparation you can and or have to do before you take on a task. Because otherwise, it is very possible you are going to cack it doing the task. But yeah, it really bothers me that investors are not liable for the pressure they put on CEOs. Like, boards of investors are not liable for the CEO's decision, no matter what a board may find. Like, well, yeah, we gave him instructions to try to increase profits or what have you, but we didn't instruct him to do that.
Senua, if I can survive the fire of Surtr and escape my darkness, then so can you.
Okay. So... Alright. Pretty sure I remember how this goes. There we go. That is true. And that's why they keep instructions vague.
Keep running. Go on. Nothing will stop. Run, Senua. Run, run, run. Run, Senua. Through the fire.
She's dying.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
This darkness takes everything. Everyone.
Are you sure you want to do this? We can't fight this together, side by side. We always do.
This is my battle. I have to face it alone, away from you.
Where will you go?
I don't know.
For how long?
I don't know.
I believe
Yep.
in you. You know that. Just promise me that you will come back to me. I want you to say it. I want you to say it.
I will come back to you. I promise.
Come on.
There we go. And now we face Surtr. Alright. So I want to finish this out. I want to finish out this wax philosophical, because the risk you're talking about, Legend, is not the kind of risk that I'm talking about. The risk of a lot of well-to-do investors is not the same as the risk I take putting money into a fund. I take putting money into a stock, because of the scale. an actual, like an investor. When we say investor culturally, when we say investor, when we use the term investor, we're not generally talking about people who are throwing some money into the stock market to try to save for retirement, because that's just not, those are not the people. They are investors, yes, but that's not generally who we talk about when we talk about who's represented at board meetings, because they don't have the market share. They don't have the shares in the business. Too big to fail is a terrible precedent. And we saw it most recently with the bank, what was it, Las Vegas, or Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, where, like, oh, so many high-level investors we're talking about. Because, yes, investors absolutely do take on risk. But as somebody said recently, the stock market is more like a beauty pageant. You're not actually voting for who you think is the most beautiful. You're voting for who you think other people are going to think is the most beautiful from some sort of weird objective metric. When you're investing in the stock market, you're trying to figure out what is going to make you the most money. You're not investing in a business you believe in, you're investing in a business you think will make you money. And to a degree, that's how you should always invest. You should never invest in something you don't think is going to succeed, whether that you're talking about currency or emotion or any other venture. You should not invest in something you don't think is going to succeed, that you're not willing to risk on that success, right? But an investor is looking for the safe option. How can I maximize my profit with my risk, right? And so once you reach a certain level of investment, you're not actually taking risks. You're a part of the system. You're just trying to maintain your wealth and grow that number. And you can do so with a minimum of risk. And yeah, they're a form of gambling at this point, but investment should not be gambling. Investment should not be gambling. You should be putting money into things you believe in, into things you want to see succeed. That is an investment, not a bet. And that's the difference, is we're looking at the intention of the action now. Because the stock market is a bunch of people betting on things. You're absolutely right. And that's why you can do things that are perspectives, short sales, for example, short selling stocks, where you think a stock is actually going to fail, so you buy it with a certain amount of excess and you end up making money on a failed business. That is not how business should be working. That's not how the economy should be working, and it's a scam, and I hate it. And to go into what Hemacast is saying, yes, determining investor liability does depend on paper trail and informed consent. And again, as you say, if investors know what's going on and it's implied that they're complicit, it's still not a slam dunk. You're absolutely, absolutely correct. Okay. In terms of the burning, yes, that went really well, because I actually got to the next story part. Too big to fail was a terrible precedent, yes. And that's Kloppy, yeah. Where is it? Where'd it go? Youngritter, yes. Are you risking your ability to have basic human needs? Right? Like, if I take too much money out of... And people do this. People will get a home equity loan to throw into the market. They're risking their house to invest. And if it works out, that's great. And actually, we have part of the inflation problem is we have investors who will take out loans to invest. They'll take out personal loans to throw into the market. And that causes inflation, because there's more prospective money, there are more promissories than there is currency to back it up. And there is nothing backing up our currency anymore. So we don't actually have anything that backs up our currency aside from trust. It's a fiat, right? So there's a promise that this dollar bill is worth $1, whatever a dollar's worth. And that's why we have indices like the Vimes Boot Index, where it's like a person has to pay this much for this product, and we can measure how that changes. And that's how we tie in our currency to the market, is perspectives and indices, more than, hey, we have a bunch of this valuable thing that this currency is backed up by. And I don't know what Legend, what do you mean by not always, and Sai, what do you mean exactly that? I don't have context where those hit. You should invest in hummus. It's a good investment. The stock market also isn't really investment anymore. Yes, that's correct, except for when the company is selling shares itself. Yep, and that's kind of what Legend was saying is modern investment, unless you are a founder. Like, if you're a founder, you are investing in whether or not that business is going to succeed. So when you're talking about IPOs, initial public offerings, you're starting to get into, you're trying to back this up. Well, actually, pre-IPO. So founder stocks. Founder stocks are, you're putting money into the business before it's succeeded. And that's what is traditionally and literally investment. You are betting on this company and you will see a return from the very beginning. It's true. So yeah, I'm still curious. Legend, what do you mean by not always? Can you clarify that? I know you're only half listening, but and then I don't know what you were agreeing with me on Sai. Exactly that. So to get into how this affects ethics in business, if the primary ethos, because business is run by an ethos, everything is run by ethoi, right? Again, ethoi being the Greek plural for ethos. Everything is run by an ethos, right? And we're gonna switch to big screen because we're doing some big screen stuff right now. So everything is run by an ethos. Everything is run by a belief system, by a set of assumptions that you move forward with. Everything. Scientific investigation, investment, what you do at the grocery store, whether or not you return your grocery cart. These are all based on your ethos. Everyone has one. Not everyone is conscious of their ethos. And that's where you get into the niggling little bits, right? Are you conscious of your ethos? The ethos by which the market is generally run and by which a lot of businesses are run is profit. What is your profit? When you've spent all your money, what do you have that's extra? And that's why we're seeing such wage stagnation, because businesses have figured out, hey, we don't have to give raises. That's something that's subjective. We don't have to do it. So we're not going to. And wow, look at what we've done. We've increased our profit margin because we haven't given raises even though we're inflating prices. And so you see record profits in almost every sector because corporations have said, we're not paying you anymore. Because there is such a separation between ownership and work and production that it's no longer feasible to there's no empathy between the two. And that's the big problem, is it's difficult to build empathy when one side is so insulated from the needs of the world, from human needs, that they have isolated themselves to the point where they can't empathize with those who produce, and those who produce can't empathize with the other side because they're too far away. And the way forward is equality. The way forward is a level playing field. And in order to do that, there are a bunch of people who are going to... what they perceive is they're going to have to lose and give up a lot. And they are. But what they're giving up is so much excess that they don't realize it's not actually going to be painful. It's not going to be painful. It's going to be growth. And we say growth is painful. It's not really. Growth is never really painful. Growth is painful when you delay it. Growth is painful when you refuse it and it comes anyway. When you lean into it, growth, it's sore. It's like exercising, right? That's conscious growth. And when you consciously grow, those resources, yes, game theory, yes. Well, so there's a HEMA person in New Orleans. God bless. Why can't I remember his name? And he studied Systema as well and does game theory. Oh, hello. How are you? How are you? You need some love. But he boiled down his kid came in and said, "What you doing?" And I'm reading about game theory. And the kid said, "Well, what's game theory?" And he boiled it down to, it's the study of how humans behave under rules. And that's a great boiling down of what game theory is. The excess is keeping score. That is correct. That is correct. Can we find a way to reward that without causing this disparity? And that's the question we need to have moving forward, and how we build empathy with these people who have this mindset that is valuable. It is valuable to have a mindset that is surplus oriented. But you have to complement that with a sense of management. You have to complement that with a sense of duty, not to hoard, but to flow. And measuring flow state is not something we've built towards. And because we don't measure flow state, we measure hoarding. That is what wealth is. Wealth is not how much can you move, it's how much do you have. So we reward this sense of surplus, personal surplus, rather than how am I managing things. Because when we look at how do I manage things, how do I benefit people, we're starting to get into virtue, we're starting to get into values, we're starting to get into philosophy, and rewarding a philosophy of movement rather than wealth. Perceiving ownership over something increases its perceived value to you and decreases your willingness to give it up. Yes, and I think that's part of the problem, is what we perceive as ownership is material. It is not energetic. And so we don't reward the interaction, we reward the having. Yes. Yeah. So in terms of measuring flow state, if I maintain a better flow state than another person, the reward I get is I'm put in charge of the resources that I can make flow. It actually feeds into what's called generally the Peter principle. You move up to your level of failure, which means you should actually move up to that and then step down to where you can manage. And you should be rewarded for that with stability, right? And if it's the gamification of need, and that's the problem I've got. We've gamified how much pain you can exert on another person. And what frustrates me, part of keeping score is that someone else has to lose in order for others to win. How do we get out of that? How do we get away from that? How do we if I am a good person, I can't be poor. No. If I am poor, I am not a good person. Is prosperity gospel, is that kind of thing. And bye, Kloppy. Yes, exactly, that they're being materially punished, which actually violates so many earlier doctrines and so much. I mean, it's like you can see. I hate the evolution of that brought us there, and I can see it. And it's like, it's like the Gospel of Luke. I was talking about the Gospel of Luke the other day. There's a part of the Gospel of Luke where Jesus says, "And he who has no sword should sell his cloak and buy a sword, and he who has a purse should tie it on." Basically, he's saying, "Hey, get ready to travel, and when you travel, be ready to protect yourself." Because you're going to go out into the nations. I'm charging you. Because it's taken out of context to say, hey, we need to be willing to fight as Christians. It's like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying when you go out to do these good works, you're going to be challenging the system. And that's going to bring some trouble. And you should be able and willing to protect yourself. Not to mention, you're going to be going out into the world. You're going to be traveling on the roads. There are bandits. Be ready to protect yourself and others. I am charging you with this. It's a part of being an individual going out to do good works, not part of an organization that is meant to exert its will over others. Humans seek hierarchy. No, humans seek cooperation. Sociopaths seek hierarchy. And that's the problem. And it goes into what I've said before about terrible people. Terrible people act faster because they aren't considering the consequences. They're only considering the profit. This will benefit me now. And they move so fast that we can't keep up. They have what I tend to look at with synthetic intelligence. They have a very linear goal of, I will protect myself and benefit because others are after me. Others are after what I've got. And of course others are after what you've got if what you've got is food and clothing and water and shelter. if you cannot meet people's basic needs and give them a little more so they can be fulfilled, so they can be whole, because we need that, then yeah, people are going to come after you. And if we have that kind of, if we were able to get across that sense of noblesse oblige, that sense of if you have, you must give, then we wouldn't have this issue of tension between those who have and those who don't, because those who have shouldn't really actually have. It should be a movement. I don't have, I'm in charge of. I move these things, and so I'm recognized as an authority who can move these things. That's how a manager, a production manager, fits into communism. Because, hey, it's a skill. You're adding something to the process. You're helping people get what they need. You see the needs, and you're able to take care of them. But it's an organic thing. You're still considered equal to everyone else. You still have the same resources for your own worth, for your own execution, for your own ownership. There is personal property. There's not private property style of thing. So, are you willing and able to take from another person their needs to meet your wants? That, to me, is sociopath. If you recognize in any way that another person has needs that you cannot ethically take from, then you have entered into empathy, and that is not a sociopathic trait. That is responsible stewardship gospel. Thank you very much. That is exactly it. That is exactly it, Hemacast. And weirdly, responsible stewardship gospel very much ties in that ties in the gospel, the teachings of the gospel, to Hebrew philosophy, to Judaic philosophy and Judaic teaching. Which is weird. It's almost like Jesus was Jewish. Who knew, right? Sunday TED Talks, you should get a gospel. I should start doing. I have actually, one of the things I'd actually like to do is put up on Fiverr, hey, I do sacraments. And here's how this happens. Here's how this works. You donate. This is a donation thing. But that's the other side, is I would want it to be a donation, not something that you pay for. Because that's a whole thing. That gets into a whole other conflict of interest. God, no. No, not gospel. I will say, because I am Christian, what I do, what I say, I believe in the profession of the gospel. But how I execute that, how I perceive that, how I pursue that, is from an agnostic point of view, because if you're going to reach all of humanity, you can't actually... It's like, if you see... There's a whole thing. There's a whole thing that my theology actually explains it as, but I digress. Not on Fiverr. Not on Fiverr. For other stuff it is, but you can't do that on Fiverr. I've tried. I agree. Yes, absolutely. And that's something that I will offer eventually. And start really digging in and dialing in on this very humanist thing. And that's the thing. It's because it's just like I was saying about the Gospel of Luke. It's like he's professing, in my interpretation, he's professing self-defense. That you are allowed to set boundaries for your physical safety. That's what that tells me, is you are allowed to protect yourself and others. That's what that tells me. That's that. That's the limitation of that. It is not meant to be used as justification for organizational conflict. And yes, Patreon or similarly, PayPal. Yeah, there are tons of ways I could do it, but I need to organize it first. I mean, that's actually what I'm doing with this book. This book is going to contain a bunch of stuff. And part of what it's going to contain is, some metaphysics, some interpretations of science, interpretations of understanding, and it's just going to be like a bunch of stuff in a guidebook. But because it's living, I'm not teaching out of this. This is just me trying to get stuff down that I can teach context for. And then eventually it's going to be misinterpreted and people will start holy wars over it. And I know that's going to come, but I'm going to be dead by then. It's not a cult. It's a cult because I don't want to isolate. I don't want people to isolate. I want people to be out there doing stuff. That's the example that I think is given in the gospel. And I perceive the gospel not as doctrine, but philosophy. And that's the other thing, is the whole thing. We've reached the plot of Dune. Not yet! No, not yet! No. Because, and especially if you read the first book is all about, and Jesus, I need to get back to the game. The first book is all about how the Bene Gesserits manipulate everything, and then Paul just takes over, right? It's this whole thing. a lot of the telekinetic side of things and the powers are largely these kind of euphoric hallucination vision kind of things. But that's part of why I really like the first plot, the plot of the first book, is it stays away from a lot of the science magic stuff and sticks kind of close to this is just basically the opening of the mind with transcendental drugs and what this looks like and controlling the flow of this very necessary thing. I think there's a lot of great philosophy in the first Dune, and I think it immediately starts waning in the second and third book. And then once you get beyond Frank Herbert's and into David Herbert's writing, you leave it totally behind and it becomes its own thing. Which is not a bad thing from a fiction standpoint, but from a philosophical standpoint, excuse me, dainty. That whole thing. And not just the plot of Dune, also the story, the lore of 40K, the Golden Throne and the Emperor, like, like, hey, don't found a religion. I don't like religions. Religions, tend towards dogmatism. I don't want a religion. Emperor is trapped in the Golden Throne. We're founding a religion! Like, yeah, that's how humanity does. But anyway, let's get back to things. So, long story short, business is not inherently evil, but the way we've gone about it is evil. All right.
Destroyed everything, everyone, but not me. Fight now.
I remember this. Like, I still remember the first time I played this being amazed at how strong she was against Surtr. Good stuff. Legend, I'm gonna remind you, it's not just the stuff. The stuff is triggering from other stress. You didn't raise them to flip out at everything every time something goes wrong, but they've been through how many historic events? We had decades to develop resilience. Our kids have not, and they've been hit with a lot.
Gods have
Have empathy as much as you can manage. I'm not saying that it's right to flip out at everything, but they need support.
Promise. And I will go to hell to keep
What Youngritter's saying.
Free. Knowing you will carry my stories with you. I have fulfilled my quest.
Yes, you have.
When darkness comes, I vow to guide you in this life and the next to fulfill yours.
Then I will see you in hell.
Be ready to face horror in the eye, as I have, to find your answers. Your quest. Your truth.
Okay. Well, I know... I can only speak to how I interact with my kids. And I know... Yeah, exactly. What Youngritter's saying. You listen, truly listen.
Listen to Obi-Wan, you will.
This new form of darkness to new worlds.
Yeah, exactly. And it's... So, if... What happens when you raise your voice? How do people tend to react? What do you need when you start raising your voice? And... You know, that's generally I know when I raise my voice, I'm in a bad place. I need help. And that's how that go. You know? I am not doing well when I raise my voice. I don't like raising my voice. I've been in places where I've not been conscious of raising my voice and have not been able to lower it. Which is not a great feeling. Being out of control, you know? So... Okay, legend. There's another part of that, though. There's another part of that conversation. People aren't doing what you've asked. What else is going on? When else have you raised your voice? When have you felt out of control of yourself? Because that is a part of the conversation, and it's a big part of the conversation that you have to have when someone else is raising their voice. When someone else is escalating, how do you de-escalate? Okay. I have absolutely met you. Okay. So that seems to be all the runes for this section. I have met you. I have met you. And... it's... We are responsible for our responses and reactions. If we are responding unconsciously in a violent manner, we are still responsible for those reactions. It doesn't matter that we're mindless with whatever emotion we're feeling. We are liable for what we do. We are responsible for it. We are not to be coddled. We are responsible for our emotional state. Oh, this is that area. Wrong area. Damn. So just as your child is frustrating you, and they are frustrated and raising their voice to you, how do you respond to that in a conscious way, in a conscientious way, such that they feel safe and can calm down and express what's really bothering them? Because it's probably not the thing that triggered them. They're just overwhelmed. And that last thing was the trigger. Where the hell am I going? Is it this way? Maybe it's this way. No, it's not this way. Ugh, part of the problem with this game. It's very difficult to... There we go. It becomes difficult to navigate at times. Alright. No, that's not it. But wait. No. Where the hell am I going? So we're not Okay. Okay. When did you ask questions? When did you ask, hey, what do you need to stop rapid firing at me? What do you need to start talking to me more calmly? Or, hey, let's just stop right here, put a pin in this. Let's figure out what we need to do. Because I don't like how you're talking to me, and I want to engage this differently. Not just a need you to stop, because that's just, you're setting down a block. If you need a change, you need to focus on that change. If you can't get that far, then you need to separate yourself. Like, hang on, I need space. I'm going to go do this so that I can listen to you better. But it's a responsibility of expression. Ah, here we go. So you're right. You identified an issue. There was a rapid fire.
I saw a deep connection form between the Northmen and the darkness. Is Jill
Yeah, exactly.
true? Then that was the source of it. She got everything she could from him. Until she too.
Yes, stop. Yes, but how clear is your boundary? If all you are saying is stop, that is not just... It's you haven't set a boundary, you're giving resistance. Which is fine. Right, and that's kind of what it gets into. Did they really? I don't know what your customer service persona is, so I wouldn't be able to testify to that. But what I do know is, if all you say is stop, if I say stop what you're doing, that's not a boundary. That's just me telling you stop. Hey, hang on. I can't hear what you're saying because it's too much. I'm overwhelmed. Can you speak more? Can you speak more slowly? Can we focus on one thing? Those are boundaries because, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I need you to do something to help me with my overwhelm. If you can't do that, we need to find something else. That's a boundary. Stop is not the boundary. The boundary is, I am overwhelmed and that needs to change. When that boundary is not respected, now we can start getting into the space and time distance. Right? Read the whole thing you said. I need you to stop. I'm trying to help you and you're rapid firing at me. There's no solution there. There is no solution. There is no time and space. There is no... Okay. He didn't know what to do. Okay. So, did you... What... So, de-escalation training says, if a person is not de-escalating with what you're offering, you have to change what you're offering. End of story. If they're still spiraling up, how do you get them to at least cease the upward spiral, if not come down? Okay, but that's that triggering thing. There's more to it. That's what I'm trying to get to. Is you're being solution-oriented. That's not where they are. They are not solution-oriented right then. They're not looking at the problem. They're looking at everything. They're being that lateral thinking, right? You're freaking out on me. So you're labeling their response. You're focusing on a single thing when they are overwhelmed with more than one thing. And you're not necessarily providing the comfort that they need. So those are the three things that I can just off the top of my hat look at what you're saying and what you're doing and let you know your response is not wrong because you're trying to solve the problem. But your response is inappropriate because it's not helping the person. What you're doing is you're objectifying the person into a problem you've identified. So what you've left, and I'm actually encountering this in fencing a lot, you're not dealing with what's actually there, you're dealing with what you think is there. And this is, if anybody knows, Bruises. Bruises fights, Bruises is an MKDF fighter, and he fights with a system that's very cagey, and he'll feed you... No, you're making assumptions. Because you're giving me exactly what you're doing, and I'm identifying it. And I'm feeding back to you what you're doing with terminology that will hopefully open up to you why you're doing what you're doing, and how to respond to it in a way that will help the other person in this situation calm down. Because what you're telling me is, you identify a problem, you're offering solutions, this is where we're going. It's direct, it's military, it's disciplined, it's not emotional, it's not empathetic, and it's not de-escalating. Because if I take you at what you said here, now maybe there was more said, maybe there was more tone that's missing, absolutely, because this is the weakness of typed text, right? But based on just what you've told me, those 3 things that I told you are what I'm seeing in your side of the interaction. I don't know the other side of the interaction, so I can't speak to that. But based on your side of the interaction, what I'm identifying is these things that are destabilizing influences on another person's mental state. In order to reconcile, right? But that's not what they need. So you're not providing them with what they need to de-escalate. You're holding your ground and staying calm, which is okay. But what you need is space and time, and you need them to cope with something. You're not meeting them where they are, and maybe you're not equipped for that, and that's fine. It's okay, because that's an expertise. De-escalation and crisis management, crisis intervention, that's a skill. It's a skill I'm trained in. That's why I'm giving you this information. Because this is what I'm seeing. Is this person's in crisis, and you're starting that upward spiral, but you're catching yourself. But you're not doing anything to help them de-escalate. Which is not a problem, and that's not a judgment. Because it is hard, and it takes a lot of energy to get someone to de-escalate. It is. They are in crisis. They are in crisis. It might not be a crisis. The problem you have identified, and this is why I'm saying those 3 things I told you, the problem you've identified is not the crisis. The crisis is within them. And you're trying to get them to calm down, to see what you're seeing, that this isn't the problem they think. But that minimizes their emotional state. And so they go, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't get it. More questions. Ask about it. Everything cannot be a crisis. But it can. It absolutely can. Anything and everything can be a crisis. It's subjective. You have to recognize that they're in crisis, or you're not going to be able to meet them where they are. End of story. They are in crisis. Just because you don't see where they're in crisis, that just means you're not equipped to help them, and that's okay. You have to tell them, hey, you're having a problem I can't help with. And that's the big thing, is they escalated, and you're not equipped to de-escalate, and that's not a problem. But that means you have to let them know that. Hey, you're going somewhere I can't go. Why don't we see who we can get on board here? Or can you talk to your counselor, or write something out? Try to process this so that we can talk. So, it's... Hey, there we go. Yes, that's the big thing. Do you need solutions, or do you need a hug? So it's, and again, Legend, please do not take any of this as judgment. You're not doing a bad thing. You're not doing a bad job parenting. We are living in unprecedented times of climate change and pandemic and prospective war. War in the world. War in the world in a place where traditionally world wars start. You know, we're living in times that history is going to look back on as tremendously change-worthy. Just, yeah, everyone does need a hug. And it's difficult because you get spiky, because especially if you're survival, like in your survival place, getting a hug is hard. Okay, go do thing. So to conclude, just to wrap up what we're saying here is respect other people's emotional states. That is the first thing in any conversation. Respect another person's, and respect your emotional state. If you feel a little like you're reactive, try to back off. And it's hard to do in intimate relationships especially.
What he saw.
As I try to figure out where the hell I'm going. Is this... Because this is just an alcove, right? Or does this pass... Do I pass through here? Okay. Yeah, because you have to go through there and... What the devil? Where am I going? Bugger all. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Sometimes what you need is a break. And that's not a problem. It's not a problem to need a break. God bless it. Where am I going? One of the things I actually do appreciate about this game is how it represents space. That you really don't get a lot of help. You have to have a map of how things are, and if you don't remember where things are laid out, you're kind of screwed. And that is a powerful way to show things off. Like, I thought... Right. So then I had to come back here. So where the hell am I going? Right, there's a rune stone. And I had to... I have that rune stone. As I try to wander the realm. Okay. Uh-huh. So that went that way, so this probably goes back towards where I came from originally. Right? Is that correct? I have no idea where I am. Wrench? What's a wrench? Ah? No. I love the sound of cooling wood in the background. That's cool. It's neat. It's cooling, as a matter of fact. I digress. Oh, ranch. Okay. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta take a quick break. Voice to text didn't pick up. Yeah, I guess not. I have lunch after stream, and I don't know what I'm having. As I am trying to figure out my way through here, so I feel like where... Like, how did I get here? Because this is the first place you end up, right? Is this... No... Is this... Okay, because I feel like I should go up here and cross that bridge, and that should get me back towards where I'm going, right? Doesn't help that I can't see beyond the smoke here. Because this feels... Right, okay. And this should take me back towards the hall, right? Isn't that correct? Alright, let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try going up here. Because, is this... I thought this is Surtr's Hall. This is Surtr's Hall, isn't it? Came in here and fought that big old flaming bastard. Yeah. Surtr's Hall. Alright. And the Vegvasir, which... the Vegvasir... the Vegvasir is a 19th century invention? Which is not to say it's not esoteric and you shouldn't use it, but it is a more modern invention than the age. Soup. Yeah. Ooh, leftovers from Cracker Barrel. My kids want to experience Cracker Barrel. Tortilla chips and yogurt. Okay, so that thing happened, and this led us through here. Oh, I have some idea of why I'm making a mistake here anyway. Alright, so this... I need to go here and go around. So that's part of the issue. Okay. Okay, that goes up there. Right. But where... Okay. God bless, I'm lost. Serves breakfast all day. Okay. So... Yeah, okay. Okay. So this is here. But I feel like that's where I came in. Isn't it? Right, there's the sacrifice that I had to get access to. But how did I get into this area? Oh my gosh! Okay. But that can't be the way I got in. Okay. Oh, so many switchbacks and whatnot. Okay, so is this... Oy vey. So part of your lunch was getting more work to do. Okay. Yeah, 'cause this... Right. Okay. So there should be a way back this way. And I don't know where it is! Swear to God! Ugh, so frustrating. You should go do that. Okay, so if this is the exit, where is the entrance? I feel like the entrance should be somewhere over here, and it's not. So there's the rune that I got here. Where's the entrance to this area, though? Like, how did I come into this area? I felt like I came down into it from wherever I came before. And I thought it was the other side. No, that's not going to be it. Yeah, I feel like I came down into this area from another area. I mean, what else is up here? Is there anything else up here? I mean, there's this path. This path keeps going to the way before. That... Oh my God! A map would be so handy. Map is for losers. Amateurs. You're weak if you need a map. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. Because this goes back here, right? And this is that. Right. So... Cool. Thunder. Very nice. So I had to come here to get the fire to get through that gate. And run, and then beam hit me on the way out. But that means that I came down here from up here. Okay. Right, okay, there's that. So there should be another... Okay, where does this go? This goes down and into this area. Where the hell am I? That's a good thing. I like being somewhere I don't recognize. Okay, and then let's go up this way. Okay. Okay. And now what? Where? Okay, not that. Okay. So I had to come up and get that to get through there, which means there should be another way. Okay. So far, so good. This way is different. I don't recognize this way entirely. Okay. Okay, that's good. Right? Right? Where am I going? Oh. Did I take a correct turn? I'm not gonna say it's a right turn. I think I... Hey!
It's a serious question. An illusion of self is shattered. You simply cease to be. Though it may not seem that way to others, you know when it is true. You can feel it. A stranger in your own body. An imposter. And nothing is the same ever again.
the mark of Valravan and the mark of Surtr, you may cross the bridge over the River of Knives to Helheim.
Why is she waiting? Open the gate. Open the gate. No, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Don't open the gate. Don't. She's done.
And here we go.
It's so dark. It's dark. The dark. Only the dead may cross. Only the dead may cross into the dead.
Truth? Anyone?
There is no one here but me.
Not you.
Did you think that I would let you go? That you lost me back in the wilds? I will never let you go. You can't get rid of me. I am your shadow. And I will be watching you draw your last dying gasp.
I'm not ready to die.
You will be when you see what they did to your dear beloved.
Damien!
In this waking nightmare, where all dreams come true, you searched for control, a way to pull through. When you were in love, you left him in tears, to smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came, through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams? And now, that you're home, he's so far away. They've taken his soul. To these gods you cannot pray. They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through his darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart. You fought for love unspoilt by your darkness within. You fought for your dreams. Now there's no way to win. In the head of his corpse lies the seat of his soul. So you must carry his vessel to bring him back home.
No!
They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through this darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart. The darkness touched you. Everyone could see it in the hollows of your eyes. A gaze, averted from life. You ran from it but brought it nearer. Led it to him. An endless suffering, worse than death. and you wanted to surrender, abandon and to find peace with the gods. No. The darkness won't allow it. So you will walk into the lair of the beast. Look it in the eye, and you will go to war. This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
Oh, heavy, heavy stuff.
The gods made you a warrior for a reason. It's your calling. Why suffer the past when there is a new road ahead? The only one that makes any sense.
Finish this. End it. Hurt this blood.
I love that flying knee. It's just nasty. One of the things I like about the combat in this game is that it is very fast, but it's very technical. It's very, like, it rewards you for analyzing it and breaking it down and figuring out how you want to approach things.
Every gate you open into darkness brings another challenge.
Quickly get up. They're coming. It's not over. It's not over. Get out.
Oh, crikey. And that's that.
Scared. She's scared. No one.
So, oh, I forgot about this.
It's not over. It's not over. Dude, keep going. She's come this far. She needs to keep going. Get up quick. She's injured. She can still do it.
Oh my god! I forgot how bad this particular fight was. And I gotta restart it every time.
We're winning. Stand up straight.
Ugh. God bless it!
She's hurt. She's injured. She finished it.
Jesus!
Finish this. Finish this.
Ugh! Yeah, exactly. Oh. Will do. Yeah, the fighting, it's very dynamic. It's not realistic at all. At least from a stylistic standpoint. I think the rhythms that you end up adhering
The
to...
journey to Helheim is never a straight one. Each must find their own path. Align yourself to its secrets, and you will find yours.
It actually reminds me of the
However
Arkham
you
games
come
to a degree.
the old covered bridge that leads to hell, you may find it guarded by a giantess. She will ask your name, she will ask your lineage, and she will ask your business. The Northmen tell of the warrior woman Brynhild, who leapt into fire and rode to hell to join her slain love Sigurd, and is challenged by the giantess.
But yeah, if you play the Arkham games at all, the combat in that is not realistic from a style point of view, but from a rhythm and crowd control. Like, there's a tactical aspect to combat that it absolutely gets, and it's really, really cool. I thought there was a rune out here. Am I wrong? Not here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I think it's one of the interesting things that I think a video game can do right more than technique is it can provide tactical. This should be barred. Yeah. Chill out, we'll find it. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. That's perfect. See, you guys are awesome. Okay, there's Gable. I haven't actually tried interpreting the different spells that are on the doors, because each one, theoretically, is... any of them that are 3 especially would be spells. But I digress. And that's that. Like I said, it's not there. There are no judgments. There were no judgments against you. Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, it's so cool. Exactly. Thank you, young Ritter. That's exactly it. I mean, if you were, you wouldn't have even bothered with the apology. So, we know. We know. Is it stronger over here? Yeah. That's not it. Okay. It's not exactly... Ah, there we go. Got it. And now Otalo. What's out here? There you go. Yeah, it's a good thing. Indeed. What in the hell is this? I don't think I've ever been to this side of things before. What? Oh yeah. Absolutely. Why is that there? What is supposed to be out here? I think to be washed. It's a good one to remember. Maybe it's just to note that you can do that? What's up here? I don't want to go there yet. Is there a runestone out here or something? Ah, the other runestone. Wonderful.
Hela possesses large dwelling places in Helheim. Tall are her walls, high are her gates. The name of her dish is hunger. Her knife is famine. On her threshold all will stumble. Her bed is called sick bed, and her bed hangings are called flames of a funeral pyre. They say she is easy to recognize, half black and half the color of flesh, and her face menacing and grim.
Well, now I go back up and solve this problem. I really have to thank Mona for pointing out that each section is divided up. You know, on the runestones, that is. Oh, that's true. Boy, howdy. This is one of those things I love that's perspective-based, where you use the same object for all 3 runes. Which post from last night? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. I'm telling you. So, Kitek had an interesting conversation on his Facebook about the nature of gloves in HEMA. And the primary reason I use his name is because he's very public with his name. He's a public figure, so I thought it was interesting, the idea, like, I've always had a problem with gloves. Oh, that's...
Who is it?
It's coming. That song again.
Is it?
Tell her.
Yes, the source of the darkness. It's coming. This is your moment.
I'm sorry.
What are you doing? You're showing weakness. You're not a warrior. You're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword. Pick it up. Fight the darkness. Fight it. Get up. Get up. Get up and fight.
Oh, forgot about that part. Yep, agreed. Rolled tip. Yeah, it was bad.
Stormy seas and lost soul. She's dreamt of this before. They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts, and fears.
Yeah, it was
I see
bad. It
fire
was
in
like
her eye.
about that much blade through the glove.
What if
No
each
injury,
one of us
luckily.
is always dreaming, even when awake?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
only see what our inner eye creates for us. Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares.
Well, it's so.
Maybe that's why people feared seeing the world through
The
our
biggest
eyes.
thing is,
Because if you believe
the more
that
safety you
reality
heap
is
on, the less the feedback is sword-like.
that yours.
So I get the argument against rubber blunts, but then you have to be safer in your technique.
Fail the gods.
And I think that's where we're missing.
Pathetic. Rotten. Cursed. What were you thinking? Did you really think you could win? How stupid can you be? Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
The shadow.
Look at you. A warrior. Worthless. Weak. Pathetic. Go on. Feel sorry for yourself, because there is no one left to do that for you. Take it. If you're too much of a coward to fight, then end the suffering. Broken and lost. Just like your soul.
Yeah.
Why go on? When you give everything in place that which torments you, only to find that it is worse than you could have imagined. Why go on? Is it really so weak to ask this? Or are we just so afraid of the honest answer that we do not dare pose the question? Sometimes the answer lies in a memory.
I need to craft some Kydex tips.
Feeling.
I tried making one, and it didn't work out the way I wanted, so I need to actually sit down and do better. Yeah, well, and that has a lot to do with the ranges at which we fight, and there are so many artifacts I see in our fighting, because we're supposed to be fighting with sharp weapons, and fighting like we're fighting with sharp weapons, but so many people cleave, and it's like, yeah, cleaving is one of the ways to use a sword, but I really, there's something in Japanese sword arts where it's like, you put the blade where you want, and it will cut. You put the blade where it wants to do work, and the blade will do the work. The blade is doing the work, you're just putting it where it can do it. And that shows up in a lot of blade arts, Filipino knife work. Like, just get the blade in, and then cutting is play, stabbing is work for them. Yep, exactly. So it's why I don't like the way so many people fight, and so many established fighters argue about safety and dexterity. The part of the discussion with the gloves was, I don't lose any dexterity when I wear heavy gloves, and I'm like, if you're not losing any dexterity when you're wearing heavy protection, you're probably not using your hands the way you think you are. And it bothers me.
Before she first
Okay.
met him, she was not in a good place. Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house. Her father's in-bell made sure of that. Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out in the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely.
Yeah, I mean, it's... And watching your fighting, you fight the way I think longsword is supposed to be fought. You know, you have a lot of technique, a lot of control, and you fight at a range that is effective for the longsword. And that is difficult to find in American HEMA, just because it's... Oh yeah, no. Yep. Right. That is very true. As I try to explore as best I can. I'm trying to remember if there are any runestones in this section. I don't remember if there are. But yeah, I think we still have a lot of artifacts from early HEMA, and we're not willing to give them up because they're doctrinal to some people's fighting styles. And that's problematic from a lot of... I mean, I don't like dogma. Explaining patterns is not the same as dogma. There's nuance to explaining a pattern that you perceive as real, right? And you should be able to argue your point. I don't think that's the problem. Dogma was a great movie. I don't have any beliefs. I have some good ideas. That's exactly it. Like, it's... But I think that when we get dogmatic and we forget that there are other ways of doing things, and this is part of the conversation that I came in on when in terms of the gloves, is if somebody says they have a problem, and you say, well, I've never had that problem, so it's not a problem, you are part of the problem.
There he was. His lone figure.
Hey.
Under the shade of a tree. She remembers the first time she saw him. And her young eyes moved as if dancing. And the world danced with him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If there's a discussion, it's like, well, okay, so what problem are you having? How can we take care of it? Because one of the things I noticed fighting the other day is having smaller hands, because I am a smaller individual.
He's there, under the tree. You can see him. There he is. You have to keep Dillian going. Keep going.
But I don't want to go, because there's a runestone. Be the whole ass problem, right? I mean, it's so having smaller hands, to have the same level of protection as somebody with larger hands, the padding takes up more real estate on my hand, and I lose a lot of dexterity. So having a taller person with larger hands say, well, I've never had a problem with that, is... I missed one. God bless it! I missed... Can I go back up? Please tell me I can climb that. I don't think I can. Damn it! No! And I can't go back. I can't backtrack. Son of a pig. Ugh! So frustrating.
The Northmen tell of a great hero. His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day,
Where the hell
Odin
is that?
comes and thrusts a sword into the tree, a gift to whomever can release it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Many try, but the
Dorp.
sword only comes out at Sigmund's touch. His brother-in-law, King Siggeir, wants it, but Sigmund refuses him, so King Siggeir plots revenge. He invites Sigmund and his brothers to a feast, but when they arrive, they are met with an army, not a warm welcome. King Siggeir captures Sigmund and his brothers, steals his coveted sword, and readies them for execution.
Okay, I was reading the wrong part of the rune circle. That is right where we're supposed to be. I feel better about life. So, it's weird. I have these big hefty gloves that are pretty good. Pretty good. But the main thing I find is that the index finger is the limiting part. Like, when I grip, the main thing is this loses dexterity because this wants to be looser, right? In order to have that nice manipulation. This finger is the one that needs flexibility. So I find that interesting, and I'm thinking more and more about that as I look at gloves. Both for my benefit and the benefit of others. Now I'm trying to figure out where to go next. It's super subjective. And that's my entire point is, especially when you're talking about a dexterous art like Hema, and one of the problems I had was, well, you know, it's not as bad because longsword isn't a dexterous weapon like rapier, and it's like, I have problems with that. Like, all weapons are dexterous. I think we have a lot of artifacts from role-playing as well, which is part of why, as Kloppy can attest, I separated out strength from damage and melee hitting, because I don't perceive them as being linked. Strength has an effect, but it's not as indelible to combat as technique.
But the king's wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees. Not for mercy, though, but because he plans an even more cruel and lingering death. Chained to a tree in the forest that night, a she-wolf comes and devours one of Sigmund's brothers. She returns, ravenous, night after night, until only Sigmund is left.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Sigmund's sister sends a servant with honey to smear on Sigmund's face. But to what end? Well, that night, when the she-wolf appears again, you'll never guess what happens.
I love that. I forgot they had that. Drew's clickbait. You get a secret scene at the end if you find all the runes. And that's part of my problem, is Hemagear is also so expensive, it's almost impossible to try everything unless you are already well-to-do or you are already well-established and you get sent stuff. And I have it's one of those things that I find that my egalitarian mindset rebels at. This sense of financial privilege that pays into everything. And people hand wave it so readily. Like, we'll just find a pair that work for you. Like, do you know how hard that is? When everything is built for 6-foot people and I'm 5'6". Like, the world is built for you, and I gotta adapt. And it's frustrating. It is very frustrating. Oh, hey.
As the she-wolf licks the sweet honey from Sigmund's face, he bites the wolf's tongue. The she-wolf pulls away, but Sigmund holds on. The chains break.
Yeah.
And he is free. After his escape, Sigmund lives like us, hidden in the forest. His enemy, King Siggeir, believing him dead, as his sister plots revenge. And for vengeance to succeed, even the great Sigmund needs help. So she sends her sons to him. But their blood is weak and corrupted, and they're put to death by Sigmund. So his sister hatches a new plan, one that is cold of heart and pure of blood.
So, Hemacast, to go into what you're saying, it's why I generally brand myself a poor soldier, a peasant fighter, because, yep, exactly, that's exactly it. Honestly, low and no gear drilling is excellent. It pushes you to be more careful. You take fewer risks, and I think it makes you a better fighter. Because if you're a fighter, every risk is possible injury or death. Every single risk. And we don't get that when we gear up in big pads and go, well, we're just gonna slog each other. It's just, oh god. And then that creates artifacts like longsword isn't a dexterous weapon. Begin teaching by having everyone joint a turkey. Hey, oh.
Constant vigilance.
Hello. How are you?
I'm
trying to get out of that habit.
The life and death nature of the game. Well, swords. Different game.
Affronting her own secret dance.
Don't die.
Wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last.
Although it looks like you did since last time. Did you die?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, there's an enemy that's really nasty. So, I died a couple of times against him. That's fine.
Sigmund's sister trades shapes with a sorceress, and in disguise, she lies with her own brother. She gives birth to a son named
Ooh. Put the link in Discord.
After a time,
actually, can someone make a HEMA channel in Discord?
And finds him strong and fearless.
I gotta be better about Discord. I actually...
King Siggeir. Luck is not on their side. They're captured, and Siggeir has them buried alive.
I also have to start publishing to other platforms more, because I talked to a more successful streamer who, they do streaming full-time, so it's a little bit different. I don't think I'm ever going to be streaming full-time, just because there are too many other things I want to do.
Stream yourself doing it. Narrate as you go.
I mean, sort of, yeah.
Underwater.
Once I get my certification, I probably will do some scuba stuff. Because that'll be fun. That's just good watching. Okay. The limitations in this part are frustrating, because it's like you can't run for as long. It just takes so much time to explore. And I must find all the runes! I already got that one, right? Yeah, that one I got. Because once I encounter this being of light, I think that's the last opportunity I've got to find runes. Oh, hello. What was that? Thank you! Throw the link in there. I'm also going to start offering HEMA coaching, since I have a pair of, like, a ton of different weapons now. I just need to get my curriculum up and running, so then I can say I teach. Because I keep getting told I'm actually a good fighter. I don't know that I believe it, but if I keep getting told it, you know, I'm willing to believe it. There's evidence for it. I know. But also runes. We must find runes, my people. No. Ah, crap.
You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly court the world in bliss? If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew. And dance with it, just like he does.
And they're like, no, 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 back on the path with you. Damn it, but I have 2 runes left there. Or here, ideally here.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zenua's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one.
Well, I watched you, and
You learned all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
me?
I'm Dilly. I'm here for the warrior trials. Just come and watch. And bring your swords.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who is supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are. But her world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all. Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel him.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillion? Is that you? I'll find you. Promise.
Can you see that? You want to believe it. Is it real? Is it? You're alone in these mountains. Is that Delia? Nothing lives here. You won't survive. You met an old tree. Maybe it's a small tree. It's a tree to tell you.
Alright,
It's waiting for you by the tree.
so maybe. Hi, there we go. Is this a rune stone? Nope. But I need to know where that is. That comes in later. There are 3 trials, I think, in this part. Alright, that's another one. Ah, there's a rune stone. Otal.
As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound. Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. The king burns to death. Sigmund calls to his sister to come out, so that she may live and be honored. She does come out, but only to tell him the truth. That she had slept with him, her brother, to beget a strong avenger. I am not fit to live, she says, and walks back into the fire. Strike vengeance from your heart. As Sigmund and Sinfjotli are being buried alive, Sigmund's sister throws an armful of straw into the grave mound.
Sorry.
Hidden in the straw is Sigmund's sword, the gift of Odin. They cut their way out of the grave mound and set fire to Siggeir's hall. The king burns to death. Sigmund calls to his sister to come out, so that she may live and be honored. She does come out, but only to tell him the truth. That she had slept with him, her brother, to beget a strong avenger. I am not fit to live, she says, and walks back into the fire. Strike vengeance from your heart, Senua, as there is always a heavy price to pay.
So the story that he's telling is, at this part, is the Volsung Saga, which is the basis of the Nibelungliad, the Lay of the Nibelungs, and the legend upon which the Ring Cycle is based. The Ring Cycle being Wagner's opera, not Lord of the Rings. Though Lord of the Rings was also influenced by the Ring Cycle, as was the recreation of Narsil into Anduril, for that happens to the great sword Gramar.
And here is the end of Sigmund's story. He was a fierce and great warrior who fought many battles. But one day, an old man came onto the battlefield. Although shadowed by a hood, Sigmund saw that he only had one eye. The man raised his spear, and Sigmund struck at it with his sword, but the sword shattered into pieces. Sigmund then knew that this was Odin, and thus that victory could not be his. He bowed his head and accepted his end. Dying, he tells his wife that she is with child, and that her son will one day make a great weapon out of the fragments of his sword. The sword named Gram.
Okay. And that should be that. And it's interesting because if you follow the circle, it tells you where you are in the game as well. So we're about halfway through the game right now. I also find it interesting how my accent changes depending. Here we go.
A sword that can slay gods. Its name is Gram. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said a great warrior can reforge Gram by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands where you will face the trial.
Go to the shard. What's the shard? Find it.
So big Master Sword energy, which is also the Master Sword in Legend of Zelda is another one.
The runes.
I'm sorry, Minty.
Go to the shard. Find the shards.
So, I talk a little bit about the idea of the sword and why the sword is such an icon, why it's symbolic, and why we are attracted to it as a symbol. Because
There it is. Focus. There's the shard. Focus. Focus. Use your eyes. Look. Get closer. What can you see? Go to it. It's not safe.
I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Baldur, the second son of Odin. He was beautiful, good, and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
it's also why his son is Forsetti, justice. I can't remember if they're... This part is really cool. It's very interesting how they work everything.
The bridge. You've come this far, but the bridge is broken. There's no way you can fix it. What do you do else?
So, something about how they work this game is it challenges your view of reality. And that's the whole thing.
Watch you fail again. Where are we? What is this? It's the same. It's another world. It's lighter. It's nicer. I like it here. Can we stay? Let's stay here. The bridge. It's not broken. It's fixed. What happened?
But yeah, how important perspective is to reality. How it's just, oh god, this is such a gorgeous game. If you haven't picked it up, I highly recommend it. It is just a wonderful, wonderful game.
You need the runes to find Dillian. You need Dillian. He's waiting for you. He always said he's close. He's about you. He loves you. Calling you. Dillian. Dillian, we're here. Dillian. We're nearly here.
But yeah, I highly recommend to play through. It is a tough play at times, but it is well worth it.
She can't open the gate. It's locked. Try harder. She can't. Again, she can't. She will.
Okay, so that's barred. Alright. So, at some point, I would like to host a weekend for runes or similar. figure there's probably an audience for it.
The gate is open. Go through the gate. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe.
Ah.
Dillion. There he is. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Find him. Go. Dillion, don't lose him. Where is he? Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in the wrong world. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark. The dark world.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillion taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of colour stretching away from the gloom. And Senua explored new paths into the unknown.
No. Oh, this...
The Northmen tell this story about the death of Baldur. It begins with dark dreams. Night after night, Baldur dreams of his own death, and the gods fear for his life. So Baldur's mother makes everything in the world: fire, water, iron, stone, earth, wood, beasts, birds, serpents, poison, sickness. Swear an oath not to harm her son. One by one, they each make their vow. Neither weapons nor wood will injure him, Baldur's mother boasts. Only Loki, father of Hela, the mistress of death, is not amused.
Senua, you've got it. Why isn't he here? He's gone. He's in the dark world. He's gone to the dark world. You can't go up there. You can't go up there. Not in this world. No. Do you remember meeting him beneath the tree? He was kind to her.
Isn't it? It's gorgeous. And then you have to... It's like...
Everything gets broken in the end. You killed him with your love because he believed in you. He saw who she really was. He saw the warrior within.
Okay.
He squashed it to strength. The curse cannot be.
As I try to figure this out. Oh, this one's open. Okay. Does that let me through? Decidedly not so.
Dillion doesn't
What else is
who
here?
killed him, but we do.
Alright, but this one, the gate is there, correct? Okay, so we gotta go back. We've gotta go back! Oh. Wrong way, then. But yeah, this is there's a lot here that I think is universal, that they use Senua's mental state to highlight. The confrontation of mortality, of grief, emotion, that everyone experiences, but, this got me through to there, didn't it? Let's see here. Does this... Can I open this here? No, because that's chained. So how do I get through? Because that's there no matter what, isn't it? Isn't it then? Pardon me. So that gate is there no matter what. So what's the purpose of opening that door?
You have no chance. Nobody will love you again. Ever again.
Ah, but it's unlocked. Aha!
There he is.
Where are you taking me?
He's up there. How do you get up there? There's a way. There is a way up there. Find the way. She can do this. You're nearly there. She find the way. You are guilty.
There we go.
Was it worth it? You have no chance.
The gods feast and rejoice and amuse themselves by throwing spears and stones at Baldur, striking at him with sword and axe. But he comes to no harm, whatever they do. The gods never cease to wonder at this great marvel. But Loki shapes himself into a woman and asks Baldur's mother, is it really true that all things promise to keep him safe? I did not ask the mistletoe, Baldur's mother confesses. I thought it was too young. Oh dear.
Nobody will love her now. Can you remember what love feels like? Look what happens to the thing she loves. She destroys the thing she loves.
Now that I've got that, actually, let's check something. I want to check something real quick before I commit. I think they're in one of the other worlds. Because I went around to the outside of the circle. So I think those are in one of the other trials. Because otherwise, there's... I don't know where else they would be. So wait a minute. That gate is still locked. Oh, wait a minute. I know what I need to do. Maybe? why open those if they don't? Because
Do you know? Was it worth it? You're still alive and Dillian's dead. He doesn't deserve to be dead. How does that make you feel? You kill the things you love. Curse. You kill the things that are most precious to you. You didn't deserve this.
Loki makes a dart out of mistletoe and goes to the gods as they throw things at Balder. The blind god, Huth, was there. Loki asks him why he wasn't taken home. Huth says, I cannot see where Balder stands, and even if I could see him, I have no weapon. Loki replies, here is a wand. I will tell you where he stands. And Huth throws the mistletoe at Balder. It pierces through him, and to everyone's horror, Balder is killed. And for this, Huth is slain.
And so begins Ragnarok.
Just like it strangled him.
Years had passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillian. She saw things no one else could. Patterns, shapes, movement. An intuition that made her an exceptional warrior. Friendship turned to love. But the shadow of darkness never let her go, and she was caught between two worlds. That of Zimbel and her past, and Dillian, her future. Two realities tearing at her soul.
She is pure darkness.
Oof. And given all, I think that's where we're gonna end today, because it is 2:35 and I have work to do.
Most precious to you.
Let's see if I can get it to save.
Dillian's in the tower.
Can I, come on, trigger a save, please. Trigger a save.
Do you even remember? His love is guiding.
Oh, there's that.
He's the reason she keeps fighting.
I need to go around the outside there.
Does it
Oh,
feel?
this
Do you feel safe? Dillian loves you.
The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea, and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship into the sea with such force that the ground shakes and the rollers burst into flames. When Balder's wife sees his body carried onto the ship, her heart bursts with grief, and she dies. She's put next to her husband, and the pyre is lit, sending the dead to hell. But even so, the gods cannot accept his death.
triggering a save is so hard in this game. Like, How do I get it to trigger a save? Come on.
Do you remember the way he stroked your hair? Do you remember the way you felt? Your curse has claimed Dillion. We didn't know.
So there are other games that are similarly linear that tell good stories. One of them is Enslaved.
You have no time for this. Speed up.
Huh.
Trials to distract you. Set you up. To watch you. What if these trials mean nothing? This love, this tortured love, I did not use them. Closer to Dillion. You're letting this get in the way. If they are just to tire you out, to make you weak before the battle.
Make you weak before the battle. Come on.
Dillion undoes the curse. Does it feel like to feel a love so strong? What if this is pointless? What are you doing? Why did you think you could make this work? You keep seeing runes.
Overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hell and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Hela. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Balder stays with me. The gods send messengers everywhere. Weep for Balder, weep him out of Hell. And everything wept. Men, beasts, earth, stones, trees, metal, everything. Except for a giantess they find in a cave. Balder was never my friend, she says. Let Hel keep what she has. The Northmen say that the giantess must have been Loki in disguise.
Dillion saved you. Dillion cared for her like no one else has. Dillion's the only reason she's still alive. Look what happens to the things you love.
I still haven't seen the save icon. I might just have to quit without saving. And that, as a gamer, drives me up a wall.
Do you remember the smell in his neck?
The devil?
Wasting your time just to by minute by minute. What does she think she's doing? You special. They mean nothing. Special. The gods are just
Alright, so I'm missing one rune from this area.
messing with her. It wouldn't be first time. You have blood on your hands. You are guilty. Was it worth it?
Come on. I can't see where I want to see.
The curse. And now the darkness is swallowing you both.
Okay. Wait. I have an idea. I have an idea here.
Do you remember the way he looked?
Damn it. That did not go the way I wanted it.
You have no chance of nobody will love you again. Ever.
Alright.
Ever.
Well, it is far enough along. And for some reason it will not do photo mode. So I'm going to see if I can do what I did before. Yeah, it locks her in. So I'm going to...
You had that loved you. You squashed it, strangled it, flattened it.
See what this will let me do. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. And with that, I'm going to say, have a great afternoon, have a great evening. I'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 with more Hellblade, and love y'all.